In 2017, the Mombasa-Nairobi Railway was completed and opened to traffic. The railway starts from Mombasa in the east and ends at Nairobi in the west, with a total length of about 480 kilometers. This is the first new railway since Kenya's independence and the largest engineering project. The railway was constructed by China, and all of it adopts Chinese standards. According to data, the construction of this railway is 25.2 billion yuan. China not only provided technology and equipment, but also provided loans. So, have you ever thought that there are so many countries in the world, why is only China willing to build railways in Africa? Why does China spend tens of billions to build railways in Africa? The deep reason has finally been exposed, and the wisdom of the Chinese people is really admirable. What's it? Welcome to my channel. Before we start today's video, please subscribe to our channel, which is the encouragement that we can create more videos. Okay, let's continue the topic we are talking about. Africa does not have an advanced railway network, or even railways in some places. This has caused great trouble to the local transportation and economic development in Africa. African authorities also realized the seriousness of the matter, and then started the grand plan of building railways. China is the main supporter of this plan, and has invested heavily over the years to help African friends build railways. The 100% made in China Mombasa-Nairobi Railway largely overlaps the old meter-gauge railroad laid by the British 100 years ago. The BBC even questioned whether the Chinese were capable of fixing this crazy railroad. Under such doubts, the contractor, China Road and Bridge Group, completed the construction period 6 months ahead of schedule and delivered a perfect answer. According to the plan, after the opening ceremony, China Communications Construction Group will assume the first 5 years of operation and maintenance functions. China-made technology has taken root in East Africa. Mombasa, a major port city in Kenya, is known as the Pearl of the Indian Ocean, with enviable sunshine and beaches. The straight-line distance between Mombasa and Nairobi, the capital of Kenya, is just over 400 kilometers, but it takes 10 to 12 hours on the road. In addition to expensive civil aviation, transportation between the two cities is mainly by coach. The two-lane main road linking the two cities is often jammed with loaded trucks. And traffic jams are commonplace. In the British colonial era, the two cities were once built between the width of 1 meter track railroad. Since the 1990s, this narrow-gauge old railroad technology is aging, dilapidated. According to the British Observer, due to poor maintenance, the actual speed of the old meter-gauge railroad is only about 30 kilometers per hour, which is completely unable to meet the freight demand of Mombasa Port. In 2011, China Road and Bridge Group and the Kenyan government signed a memorandum of cooperation. The Chinese side will be China's National Railway first-class standards to build the new Monet Railway, so that for the first time in Kenya's history, the width of 1.435 meters of rail track, leaving the British colonial era of 1 meter narrow-gauge railroad. The new Monterey Railway is designed to run at 120 kilometers per hour for passengers and 80 kilometers per hour for freight. The opening of this railroad can reduce freight costs by 40%. The passenger transport time between the two places is reduced from more than 10 hours to 4 hours. Radio France Internationale, RFI, reported that the Kenyan government believes the new railroad will bring Kenya an annual GDP growth of 1.5%. Not only that, the project has also provided more than 30,000 jobs for Kenya and trained a number of local railroad technical personnel. Sun Liqiang, general manager of the project department of the Monet Railway, said that among all employees, Chinese management and technical staff only accounted for 2,678 people. The ratio of Chinese to Kenyan employees is about 1:10. This project has also trained 743 railroad operation talents for Kenya, including the first female train drivers in Kenya's history. In 2016, the BBC published an article questioning the feasibility of the Monet Railway plan. More than 100 years ago, British parliamentarians called the line a lunatic line, where British colonial officials and local Kenyans had paid a heavy price in lives. The British colonial authorities built this section of the railroad from Kenya to Uganda, an average of 4 people per kilometer to sacrifice. Kenya is famous for wildlife tourism, and wild animals such as tigers, lions, wild elephants, and rhinos can pose a threat to people. In addition, the local hot and humid climate coupled with numerous swamps make mosquitoes and malaria spread rapidly, and the health of field engineers will be tested at any time. This difficulty was also meticulously arranged by the Chinese engineers, we will explain later, until the construction of the Mombasa-Nairobi Railway was successfully completed without much interference from nature, and the unique secret of opening mountains and building bridges also makes foreigners admire Chinese engineering. This kind of railroad bridge, which is commonplace along China's high-speed rail line, has amazed the Kenyan locals. The Kenyan website Tuko exclaimed, "We have never seen such a magnificent project." There are 98 railroad bridges along the entire route of the Monet Railway, of which the highest one is 43 meters above the ground and the longest one is 215 meters in length. Many local residents in Kenya said that they have never seen so many steel columns holding up the railroad tracks in mid-air in their lives. However, building railroads is a long and expensive project, and some railroads can hardly pay for themselves for years after they are built. For this reason, few European and American countries are interested in investing in Africa, which is economically backward. But why is China investing so much money to help it build railways? Well, because this will not only enhance the friendship between China and Africa, but also bring long-term benefits to both sides. In fact, the friendship between China and Africa did not start from now. As early as the Bandung Conference in 1955, leaders of many countries gathered to discuss how to jointly promote development and break the Western monopoly. Later, in 1975, China invested heavily in the construction of the Zatara Railway, which brought convenience to local people's travel. The railway is 1,860 kilometers long, starting from Zambia and ending in Tanzania. After the completion of the railway construction, it not only makes people's travel more convenient, but also greatly shortens the time for transporting goods. According to statistics, China's investment in Africa in 2003 was $75 million, and by 2019, its investment in Africa reached as much as $2.7 billion. From the data, China is increasing its investment in Africa. More than 30% of these investments are in the construction industry, including the construction of railways. Now that China has become an important partner of Africa, no other country other than China will invest so much in the African market. Of course, if you want to invest in railways, it is not enough to have money, but also need to have advanced technology and experience reserves. China began to develop railway construction technology many years ago, and the speed of China's railway construction has been accelerating over the years. Today, China's railway construction technology and motor train construction technology are second to none in the world, so China has enough capacity to build a world-class railway system for Africa. Take East Africa as an example. China has built 2 famous railways in East Africa. One is the Standard Gauge Railway in Kenya and the other is the Djibouti Railway in Ethiopia. Djibouti Railway. China invested $4 billion, with a total length of 756 kilometers. After the construction was completed and rigorous testing was carried out, commercial operation began in 2018. This railway contains the painstaking efforts of Chinese engineers, and there are many eye-catching places in the design. For example, the interior of the train has advanced ventilation and air pressure regulation systems, so that passengers are equally comfortable at high altitudes as well as at low altitudes. In addition, the train shell can withstand extreme temperature differences, and the train can theoretically be driven in ice and snow as well as in hot places without damage. But what is unexpected is that the income of statistical trains by the end of the year is still very low. This has to do with the economic situation in Africa, where our seemingly low fares seem expensive to the locals. For this reason, the actual number of passengers was not as high as expected. Taking 2019 as an example, the number of passengers in the whole year was only 84,000. Of course, trains can carry not only passengers but also freight. The train also earns part of its annual revenue from freight. Taking 2019 as an example, passenger revenue for the entire year reached $40 million. Sounds good, but the train's operating costs in 2019 were $70 million, which translates to a net loss of $30 million. But in the long run, the significance of this railway is definitely not limited to this. In addition to the Djibouti Railway, Kenya's standard gauge railway also brings many benefits to the locals. The railway has a total length of 480 kilometers and a total investment of $3.8 billion. Kenya has many nature reserves with lush flora and a variety of animals. And in Kenya there are also many animal conservationists from all over the world, who often pay attention to Kenya's natural ecology. The construction of the railroad requires crossing these nature reserves, for which some animal protectionists have protested. Conservationists believe that if an animal crosses the railway and gets hit by a train, it will cause ecological damage. For this reason, animal protectionists collectively protested and demanded that the construction of the railway be stopped. Engineers have come up with a brilliant way to build bridges in places where animals haunt. Build rails on bridges so animals can pass under them without getting hit by trains. Only then did the animal rights stop protesting, and the railway was successfully completed. In the second year of operation, it has transported more than 1.7 million passengers and about 5 million tons of goods to Kenya. Maybe you are confused about China's support for Africa to build railways. Why does China continue to do business that is losing money? In fact, this is also a kind of investment in China. Investment is about interests, but interests can be divided into short-term interests and long-term interests. China focuses on long-term interests, so even if it is in a state of loss, it will fully support Africa's construction. After the two railways are built, if they need to be repaired or upgraded in the future. Africa also needs to hire Chinese engineers to buy Chinese components, because this is a train produced by China's own technology. Therefore, these projects can greatly promote the employment of the Chinese people, and a single infrastructure project can provide jobs for a large number of people. According to relevant statistics, from 2000 to 2015, in 15 years, China-Africa cooperation indirectly provided 12 million jobs for China. From the perspective of Africa, China-Africa cooperation has promoted the social development and economic growth of African countries, and also improved the living standards of the local people, so no matter how you look at it, it is a win-win situation. In addition, the construction of overseas projects has established a brand image for China's infrastructure, and also brought more significant project orders, bringing China's reputation into overseas markets. More importantly, China is also doing this for a major development project, yes, the Belt and Road Initiative. What do you think the Belt and Road has to do with it? Welcome to share your views in the comments section. Okay, that's all for today. Please put your comments below, and share your insightful ideas with other people. We will see you in the next video.